Hi friends, I'm Flutter. This video is a devlog with the theme being optimizing my VR game and removing darlings. My goal is to finish my game this year and submit to XR festivals, and I'm almost there. I'd like to complete the public version by Halloween this year. And then I want to complete a festival version by August 1st. This short story game is a precursor to a larger episodic idea that I have, and there's more on that later. As these deadlines approach, timing really becomes important and decisions need to be made. In this video, I'm going to discuss optimization and how I severely underestimated that while getting closer to completion of my game. Do not be like me and wait till your game is almost complete to be optimizing. So let's talk about the process of optimization and a bit of what I did in my project that I'm finishing up right now. So writers often have this phrase that it's been around for a while, and it's called kill your darlings. I consider this a really good skill. It means, being a good editor. The meaning behind the phrase kill your darlings is to get rid of those parts that you just really fell in love with and you don't want to get rid of them, but you might have to in order to make your work stronger. Often it's for clarity, but in my case, it was for clarity, but also for optimization. So if you get rid of something in your project, and you might be able to save it in another project. You can save it for something in the future. I'll put a link in the description to how this is defined by writers, because I just think that the distinctions made for this phrase are really good so that you can get comfortable with editing yourself and get good at that. And it really does help with optimization. Why do you need to be this good editor? Well, you need to know what needs to stay in your game and the things that you can take out, keep for something else, or just get rid of forever. An example in my game was I really had this cool drunk effect. So the screen looked like heat warping, and so kind of like looked like you might be drunk. But there's a setting that is pretty heavy that I had on for the Meta Quest headset, even for the 3. And so I had to turn off that setting in order for my FPS to go higher. So that meant getting rid of that visual effect. I was upset about that at first, but then what this does is when you're working within limitations, it makes you get really creative and think of another alternative way to execute the same idea and communicate the same thing. And actually, the new visual effect that I have for this, I think, is a lot better. And it doesn't use as much computation. It's not heavy on the headset anymore. One thing I really want to stress is that you do not want to show your game to the public until the FPS is around 72 at the minimum. I believe that Meta requires this for apps that you want to put on App Lab as a minimum 72. I would even shoot for maybe more like 90 if you can, or 120. Now, my game is very slow and it's at your own pace. There's not a lot of objects flying by you. So I think I could probably get away with 72, and we will see if I decide to push it to 90 within the short time frame that I have as I fix other bugs and finish art and some audio. So we'll see. Another reason why your FPS should not be low is if it's starting to make people uncomfortable in your game, they're going to leave bad reviews for you and they might not come back to looking at your game again. And so you just don't want to have that happen immediately. I think something that's important, this also is with like directions. The clearer you can make your game and the more comfortable you can make your game in VR, the more likely that people will come back. And, if the art isn't perfect, the audio is not exactly right, as long as people are comfortable and can get through your game well, that's the main thing, I think. So make your game optimized for that reason. So what did I do to get my game? It was running around 50, even 40 FPS. And I didn't realize this because I had done a really big art lift in around March and April this year. And after I did that art lift and I was really putting some visual effects and playing with lighting, I wasn't checking the FPS and I hadn't looked at optimization in a while and I was very low. So what I did is I asked some friends of mine for some advice, any ideas they had. Also, I went onto Fiverr and I found Dylan, who is a Unity VR AR dev, and he also specializes in performance optimization. So I hired him to take a look at my game and give me some feedback on what I could possibly jump that FPS up. And that his advice, along with my friends, really helped. Also, Game Dev Guru has a course and even a checklist that you can download. I'll also put that information in the description. And that was a good list to look at to see what might help my game. So between Dylan's help, the list from Game Dev Guru, lists from my friends and advice from my friends, and just some things that I already knew, between all those things, I just found what was the right combination for optimizing my game. Now, something that's you need to understand is that every game is going to be different. So even if you see YouTube videos out there that give you a list of things to look out for, that's a great starting point. But for you, it's going to be really specific to your game and what's in there and the scripts that are in there, the settings you have on, the version you have. Uh, there's just so many factors. It's very tailored to you. And that's why I do suggest having someone like Dylan, who's a performance optimization specialist, take a look at your specific game. In my case, the first thing I did was I updated my Unity version to the latest 2020 version. I know that sounds old now, but it's like once you're working on a game for a while, it's easy to break something as you go up versions. So I broke a lot in my game when I went up to the 2021, 2022 version. So I decided, well, at the very least, I could have the latest 2020 version, and that seemed to work. And I can't wait to finish this game because then I can get on a newer version. Again, after taking all these lists from different people and suggestions from different sources, I put my own list together and I just started knocking out all these different tasks to optimize my game. And it's called, what Dylan said to me, it's called stacking. So you're stacking optimization. And as you turn one setting on versus another, or you bake your lighting, you upgrade your Unity version, all these different things, you maybe make the poly vertices a lot lower on your models. When you start stacking all these different options, that's when you start seeing the results. And that stacking is going to be very particular to your game. So the things that really helped boost my FPS were for my particular game, were updating the Unity version, baking the lighting, static batching, and then just really paying attention to those specific settings for mobile. The big lesson I learned is do not wait until the end. And one thing I will really suggest is having OVR metrics on your headset at all times as you're developing so that you can see the statistics of your optimization as you are looking at your game. And now the build is going to have a different FPS than your computer because your computer often will have more power. And so it's going to appear like, for one, lighting is going to look different in the editor when you're looking through a headset versus on the build. So you definitely want to bake your lighting so that you can see how it's actually going to look on the headset. And you also want to create builds often so that you can check the FPS on an actual build, because that's going to tell you what the real optimization is for that headset versus being in the editor, which is going to make it look better possibly than it is. So leave OVR metrics on at all times. I'll put a link for that in the description as well. What's next for my game as I start finishing this up? Well, the final touches are, of course, fixing bugs. I have one big bug that has to do with choosing between your locomotion when you change scenes. So I hope I can do that so that you can choose your locomotion. And the other item is audio, that I really need to fine tune that. A lot of my audio is in there, but I would like to get the levels right and just spend more time on that. And then maybe some tweaks on the art and testing with more people, especially when it comes to the directions. I just updated a lot of the directions so that it's clear for people no matter what style of learning they have. So I have different ways of giving the directions in the game to one, so that it's not too easy, but then not so it's not so hard that people can't get through it either. Because really, at the end of the day, I just really want you to experience the story and just feel like you're a part of it on a level and get through the game. It's not my intention that you're winning the puzzles. My intention is to enjoy the experience. Optimization, although it may be scary or you might not want to do it because it seems boring, is incredibly important because you'll also learn how to be a good editor and make your work stronger. You'll find out what you absolutely need to have in the game and what can be sacrificed, and just what's going to make the experience the most comfortable for the people that are going to be playing your game or your application. Not sure that I like that conclusion. What is my conclusion? My conclusion to this is don't wait to the end of your game to be optimizing, because you might have to get rid of things. You don't want to find something that you love so much that's in your game, and then you have to get rid of it because it's not optimized. And then you have to come up with an alternative. So it's good to just always be watching your stats, like with OVR metrics and testing builds, having friends and even people that you don't know that well, but are going to test your game for you and give you real feedback. That's awesome. Do all of that and iterate fast and just really pay attention to all those things so that you're not scrambling at the end and not having to get rid of things that really maybe at that point you can't get rid of. So the earlier, the better. Thanks, friends, for watching this video and supporting my channel. And I look forward to talking with you again.